everyone, I'm JG and welcome back to Music Forever, where today I'm going to be reviewing the newest album from Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats, Unlocked. This is a pretty cool collaborative project that I was really excited to see released, considering I like Kenny Beats' production, I like Denzel Curry's rapping. The two just seemed like something that would be cool when put together, and after listening through this new album here, I could certainly say that, yeah, it's pretty cool hearing these two team up because they made some pretty good music together. This is a project that's pretty short in length, less than 20 minutes overall, and a lot of the tracks on this thing are also really short and to the point as well. Oftentimes, on many of the songs here, you won't really even get a clearly defined hook or something like that, though it does still happen on some of the songs on this thing, and when it does, those hooks do happen to still be pretty catchy and pretty memorable. But on a lot of the tracks on this thing, the main focus here is Denzel's rapping as well as Kenny's production and how these two just kind of meld together into something that's really cool. When it comes to the production here on this record, it's pretty interesting. I was expecting it to be maybe some of the very in-your-face, aggressive trap that Denzel Curry typically raps over and that Kenny has produced before in the past. However, the style that they decided to go for instead on this thing is this kind of lo-fi, alternative hip-hop sort of sound. It's not exactly the most modern sounding, but it does still match up pretty nicely with Denzel Curry's flows here on this thing, even if the production isn't quite as high energy as some of the most aggressive bangers in his catalog. I think this kind of different production style leads to a very different product than anything else that either of these two artists have put out before. When it comes to this change in production, though, one thing I should note is that despite the fact that this is the case, Denzel's flows on this thing are still just as aggressive and high energy as you would expect from him. A lot of the flows on this thing just go very smoothly, they're very aggressive, very in your face. When it comes to the lyrics on this thing, there's lots of clever wordplay packed into these songs too, lots of references as well, and even though this thing is very short and concise, there's just a lot going on in the lyrics here on these tracks that you could dive into when it comes to the actual wordplay and what's going on there on a technical level. I actually really like the flow of this project as well. All the tracks on this thing that are pretty short, even though they may not have a ton going for them on their own, when paired up with the other songs on this thing, they end up making a project greater than just the sum of its parts, really, and I do like that. I do have some complaints with this album, though, that I should get out of the way. One of those being that I just wish that there was a bit more going on here on this record, as while I do like what I get here, and this album's pretty short runtime, I think these two could have made an album that's a bit longer than this one, but was still just as, if not more, engaging, because I think the production here is really interesting. I think the flows are very high energy and exciting too. I just feel like it could have been expanded a bit more into a longer project. Not necessarily saying that the individual songs themselves needed to be longer. I think the really short song structures work on this thing, but I just think that there need to be a few more on this thing to make it a bit more memorable. Additionally, while when it comes to the lyrics on this record, as I said before, I like the amount of wordplay going on here and references. I think on a technical level, the lyrics on this thing work really nicely. There's not a ton of subject matter packed into the lyrics here, and it can oftentimes leave some of the verses on this thing feeling a little bit hollow, which for the most part isn't a terrible thing because, like I said, a lot of the wordplay here is really great. There's a ton of energy put into these verses too, and the production backing them is fantastic as well. So it's not that big of an issue, but I feel like having a bit more subject matter packed into this project could have made it feel a bit more memorable as well, because when all things are considered here, I think that Unlocked is a pretty entertaining album, but it's not necessarily the most memorable project in either artist's discographies, because I think the flows here are high energy, I think the production is very interesting, I think a lot of the wordplay is really clever as well. However, there's just not a ton else going on here aside from that. I just feel like there needs to be a little something extra packed into this project to make it just a little bit more memorable. Either that be that this project was expanded out a bit more and had a bit of a longer runtime with some more ideas packed into it, either that or the lyrics needed to be maybe a bit more interesting at some points on this thing. This is still a pretty good project, I should say. My complaints here aren't that large overall, but yeah, I think this is a pretty entertaining project, even despite my complaints with it. If you're a fan of either of these artists and you're looking for some fun hip-hop to listen to, this is certainly an album that you should give a listen to. It may not be the most memorable thing I've heard from either of these artists, but it's just another solid release, and I'm not disappointed by it overall. So yeah, this is a pretty enjoyable release. Not a ton else to say on this about this thing, because, you know, it's a pretty short project, but yeah, That's just my own thoughts on this record. If you happen to disagree, that's perfectly fine. In fact, feel free to leave your own thoughts on this album in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, make sure you also leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more music-related content, things like album reviews, track reviews, things of that sort. Again, thank you for watching, and stay golden.